The lights in the big TV studio were really bright. Everything looked shiny and fancy. The floor was so clean it sparkled, and the chairs were soft and covered in red velvet. It looked like a place where something very important was about to happen. Right in the middle of the stage sat Celeste Jordan. She is a very famous woman who talks to lots of people on TV. She has a big smile and a kind voice that makes people feel like they can trust her. She's been on TV for many years, talking to all kinds of people about life, love, and feelings. Today, Celeste was doing a special show called Spirituality in the New Age. It was a show all about what people believe in, what gives them hope, and how they find peace. There were going to be many smart people on the show, like church leaders, teachers, and famous people who help others feel better. Everyone in the audience was excited. They clapped and cheered as the cameras started to record the show live for millions of people to watch at home. But Celeste had a secret plan. She wanted to ask some very hard questions to one special guest. That guest was Senator Elijah Cross from Louisiana. He is a man who works in the government and talks a lot about his Christian faith. Celeste thought she could make him uncomfortable or maybe even make him change what he believed, right there on live TV. She wanted to see if he could still believe in Jesus when asked hard questions in front of so many people. But something surprising happened instead. When Elijah Cross walked onto the stage, he looked calm and peaceful. He wore a simple dark blue suit that was clean and neat, but not too fancy. He didn't come to show off. In his jacket pocket, he had a small Bible, not to show other people, but to remind himself why he was there. He had prayed before coming, asking God to help him speak with love and courage. The people in the audience clapped for him, but you could feel that they were curious. They knew Senator Cross was different. He didn't hide his beliefs. He talked about Jesus even when other people thought it wasn't cool or modern. Some people didn't like that, but Cross never changed just to fit in. Celeste smiled and said nicely, "Senator Cross, it's so great to have you with us today." Her voice was soft and friendly, but her eyes showed that she was ready to ask tough questions. Cross smiled back. "Thank you, Celeste. I'm happy to be here," he said. His voice was warm and had a little southern sound to it, like people from Louisiana often do. He sat down and looked relaxed, but he knew this would not be an easy talk. Celeste started with simple questions. She asked about his work, the people he helps in Louisiana, and what it's like to work in the government. Cross answered kindly, adding a few funny stories that made people laugh. He told stories about meeting farmers, teachers, and pastors. It helped people see that he was someone who really cared. But then Celeste changed the way she talked. Her voice got a little sharper. She looked right at him and asked, "Senator, you talk about your Christian faith a lot. You say Jesus is the only way to God. But isn't that kind of old-fashioned now? So many people believe in different things. Isn't it wrong to say that only one way is right?" The room got very quiet. Everyone turned to see what Cross would say. This was a hard question. Celeste knew that most people today like the idea that there are many ways to believe, and no one way is the only way. She hoped Cross would either sound like he was being mean to other beliefs, or maybe he would change what he said before. Either way, she thought she had him in a trap. But Senator Cross didn't get upset. He looked at Celeste kindly. Then he turned to the audience and said, "Let me tell you a story about a woman named Rosa from Baton Rouge." His voice was slow and gentle, like someone telling a bedtime story. He continued, "Rosa is a single mom. Her husband died in a car crash a few years ago. She's raising 3 kids all by herself. She works as a cashier and doesn't have much money. Life is really hard for her. But every morning, she sits at her kitchen table and prays. She doesn't ask God for money or an easier life. She just asks for strength to keep going. She told me that her faith in Jesus is the only thing that helps her stay strong." The room got very quiet again, but this time it felt different. Some people wiped tears from their eyes. They could feel that Cross was telling a true story about a real person. He wasn't trying to win an argument. He was showing how faith in Jesus helps someone in real life, not just in church or books, but in the middle of sadness and struggle. Celeste looked a little surprised. She didn't expect that kind of answer. She thought they would have a big debate, but instead Cross shared something personal and powerful. She smiled and said, "That's a nice story, Senator." But her voice didn't sound as friendly as before. She tried to push the question again. "But what I'm asking," she said, is whether it's okay to tell other people they have to believe what you believe. In a big world with lots of different beliefs, isn't it wrong to say there's only one right way? Some people in the audience nodded. They liked Celeste and thought she was being fair. She has helped many people find peace in different ways, through things like meditation and self-help books. And now it seemed like Cross was saying that his way was the only way, and that made some people feel uncomfortable. But Cross didn't get upset. He didn't raise his voice or argue. He leaned forward a little and said, "Celeste, I'm not trying to make anyone believe what I believe. I'm not here to boss anyone around. But you asked me about my faith, and I have to tell the truth." Then he said, Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." He looked around the room. That's not something I made up. That's what Jesus said. And if I believe in him, then I have to believe his words too. It doesn't mean I don't love or respect people who believe differently. It just means I trust what Jesus said. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Even Celeste didn't say anything right away. She had planned to make Cross stumble. Instead, he stood strong but kind, firm but respectful. He didn't say anything mean. He didn't try to win a fight. He just told the truth in a gentle and loving way. A few people in the audience started to clap. Others followed. Soon, the whole room was filled with applause, not loud and wild, but soft and thoughtful. It was the kind of clapping that meant people were really thinking. Celeste nodded, still smiling, but she knew something had changed. Senator Cross had not been trapped. He had not backed down. And he had not been rude. He had shown what it meant to truly believe something and still be kind to others. Later, people all over the country would talk about what happened on that stage. Some would say Cross was brave. Others would say Celeste had met her match. But everyone would remember the way he told the story of Rosa, the mom who prayed for strength, and how he said what he believed, even when it wasn't easy. Sometimes, standing for what you believe doesn't mean yelling or arguing. Sometimes it means telling a quiet truth with love. And that day, on a big shiny stage, in front of millions, Senator Elijah Cross did just that. "Those aren't my words," Cross said. "They're his." He was talking about God. Cross wasn't trying to be mean. He didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. He just believed it was his job to share what he knew. "I don't want to bully people," he said. "I just want to invite them to listen. People can believe whatever they want, but I can't stay quiet about what I believe is true." The room got very quiet. Everyone was listening closely. Cross's voice wasn't loud, but his words were strong. Some people clapped a little. They weren't clapping because they agreed with everything he said. They clapped because he was brave. He was honest. He didn't shout or argue. He just spoke with calm, clear words that felt powerful. Even Celeste, who had done so many interviews and spoken to so many famous people, felt something change. She had planned for the talk to go her way. She thought she would guide the conversation and make it fit her idea of what spirituality should be, something kind, open, and easy for everyone to accept. But Cross wasn't following her plan. Instead, his calm and honest words were making people think deeply. This wasn't just a nice chat anymore. It was turning into something big, something important. Something like a moment of truth. Celeste noticed she was losing control of the conversation. She didn't want that to happen. She sat up straighter, and her voice became stronger. "Senator," she said, using his title, "you talk about absolute truth, about there being only one way to God. But do you really believe that billions of people around the world who follow other religions, or don't believe at all, are wrong? Doesn't your faith make you think badly of them?" That question was tricky. If Cross said, yes, some people might think he was mean or proud. If he said, no, people might think he didn't really believe in what he was saying. Everyone in the room leaned forward. Some looked uncomfortable. Others nodded in support of Celeste. She had always been the wise one, the fair one. They trusted her to ask the tough questions. Cross didn't answer right away. He wasn't confused or scared. He just closed his eyes for a second and whispered a quiet prayer in his heart. Then he looked at Celeste. His eyes were kind and steady. "Celeste," he said, "truth doesn't change just because more people believe something else or because we want it to feel better." His voice was calm but strong. If I think a bridge is broken, I'm not going to tell people to walk across it, no matter how much they believe it's safe. He wasn't saying other people were bad or stupid. He just believed he had found the right path, and he wanted to help others by sharing it. My faith isn't about judging people, Cross said. It's about warning them and giving them hope. I'm not saying they're wrong just because they're different. I'm saying I found something real, and I want to offer it to anyone who wants to listen. The room was very quiet. Then people started clapping again, some softly, some loudly. Even people who didn't agree with Cross could tell he was being honest and sincere. Celeste's smile got smaller. She was trying hard to stay calm, but it was getting harder. She hadn't expected this. She thought she could lead the conversation easily, but now Cross was guiding it with quiet strength. That's an interesting way to look at it, Senator, she said. Her voice was still polite, but it had a little bit of strain in it. We'll talk more about this after a short break. The lights dimmed. The show went to commercials. Celeste glanced at Cross. Her eyes showed a mix of frustration and respect. She knew the next part of the show would be even tougher. For the first time, she wasn't sure she would win this talk. Cross sat quietly. He looked at the audience, and in his heart, he whispered another prayer. He knew this wasn't over. The next part could change everything. The lights in the studio came back on. The stage glowed with warm golden light. The commercial break was over. People in the audience were still whispering about the first part of the show. They sat quietly now, their eyes focused on Celeste and Senator Cross. This show was supposed to be a smooth talk about finding meaning in today's world. But now it felt like something else. It felt like a real fight between two different ways of thinking. Celeste had always been good at staying in control. She built her whole career on helping people talk about their feelings and beliefs in a way everyone could relate to. But Cross wasn't going along with that. He wasn't trying to be difficult. He just had deep beliefs, and he wasn't afraid to share them. The cameras turned on again. Celeste leaned forward. Her smile was still there, but tighter now, like a ribbon pulled too tight. She was ready to take back control. What she didn't know was that Cross was about to say something that would shake not just the show, but maybe even the strong platform she had built for years. Welcome back, everyone, Celeste said. Her voice sounded nice, but it had a sharp edge hidden underneath. We're here with Senator Elijah Neely Cross, talking about faith, truth, and what it means to find meaning in today's world. Senator, you've shared some strong thoughts about your Christian faith, and I appreciate your honesty. She paused, letting her kind words hang in the air for a moment. She wanted everyone to see that she was still the leader of the show. But let's be real for a minute, she continued. You're a politician. You've used your faith to connect with voters and show that you're a man of principle. Some people say that's just a way to get people to like you. That it's not real. It's just politics. How do you answer that? The room buzzed again. People whispered. This was a tough question. Many believed that politicians used faith like a trick to win votes. Celeste knew this was a smart move. She expected Cross to get nervous, or to avoid the question. That would make him look like just another person pretending to be honest. The camera zoomed in close to Cross's face. But he didn't look nervous. He didn't flinch. Instead, he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small piece of paper. It looked old and folded many times. He held it up for a second, not to show off, but like it meant something special to him. Then he placed it gently on his knee. Celeste, he said warmly, let me tell you about a boy named Malik from New Orleans. The audience got quiet again. They weren't expecting a story. Malik is 10 years old, Cross continued. He's been in the hospital a lot. He has leukemia. That's a kind of cancer. His mama wrote me a letter a while back. She said that Malik saw one of my speeches on TV. In that speech, I talked about God's love, how it gives us hope even when the world is scary. Cross paused for just a second. Malik held his mama's hand and said, Mama, if that man says God loves me, I'm not scared anymore. Cross looked around the room slowly, not to impress, but because he wanted everyone to feel the story. I didn't tell that story to win votes, he said. I told it because kids like Malik, and moms like him, need something real to hold on to. My faith isn't a trick. It's the reason I do what I do. The studio got really quiet. His words were like a heavy blanket wrapping around everyone. Some people wiped away tears. Others nodded, feeling something deep inside them move. Celeste sat still. She hadn't expected this. She had hoped for a clever answer, something she could argue against. But Cross's story wasn't clever. It was real. It was emotional. It was true. Celeste had built her career on stories. She knew how powerful they could be. But this one was different. It wasn't shiny or planned. It was just honest. And it came from the heart. And suddenly, Cross wasn't just a guest on her show. He was someone who had touched the hearts of the people in the room, with nothing but a story, a soft voice, and a strong belief in something bigger than himself. And the show. It wasn't just a show anymore. She calmed down fast. Her training from being on TV helped her. "That's a powerful story, Senator," Celeste said. Her voice sounded calm, but there was a little bit of stress in it. "And I know that story touches a lot of people. But let's talk about something bigger now," she added. She wanted to change the topic and make things safer to talk about. "You talk a lot about one way, Christianity, as the truth," Celeste said. "Don't you think that's a small way to see the world? There are people everywhere who believe in different things. They find happiness and meaning in their own ways." That question was Celeste's way to move the talk away from just one belief. She liked to talk about spirituality in a wide way. She believed that all paths, like Buddhism, meditation, and self-help, could lead to the same peaceful place. Cross's strong belief in one truth, in only Jesus, didn't fit into Celeste's way of thinking. She wanted people to see that maybe his way wasn't the only way. The people in the audience made soft noises. Some nodded, like they agreed with Celeste. But Cross didn't get nervous. He leaned back in his seat. He held his hands together and looked at Celeste with a kind but serious face. "Celeste, I respect that people look for meaning in many ways," Cross said kindly. "I'm not here to tell anyone they can't search for the truth. But let me ask you something." He paused for a second. Then he said, "If you saw a child about to walk into a burning building, would you tell them, 'There are lots of ways to get out,' or would you show them the one safe door?" His words hit hard. The audience gasped quietly. Some people even started clapping without thinking. His words were clear, simple, and strong. He wasn't trying to hurt anyone's feelings. He was just showing how important truth can be. He wanted people to feel how urgent this was. He didn't say other beliefs were bad. He just wanted people to know, this isn't about feeling good, it's about life and death. Celeste's smile shook just a little. She didn't expect Cross to turn the question back on her. And the way the crowd was clapping, nodding, and thinking, she could feel that she was losing control of the moment. "That's a strong picture, Senator," Celeste said. Her voice was still polite, but a little stiff. "But you didn't answer my real question. My books, my classes, my work, they've helped millions of people find peace and purpose. Are you saying none of that matters just because it doesn't match your faith?" This was a tricky question. It was meant to trap Cross. If Cross said yes, he might sound like he didn't care about the good Celeste had done. The audience loved Celeste. They looked up to her. If he sounded rude, they might turn on him. But if Cross said no, and praised Celeste's work too much, he might confuse people about what he truly believed. The audience leaned forward in their seats. They knew this moment was important. Cross didn't rush. He wasn't scared. He just wanted to say things the right way. He looked right at Celeste. His eyes were full of kindness, and that surprised her. "Celeste," he said gently, "I don't think you've done anything. I believe you've helped people feel better. Your kindness, your words, that matters. But feeling better is not the same as being saved. Your work may help someone feel good for a little while, but it can't answer the big questions. Why are we here? What happens when we die? My faith says only Jesus has those answers. And I'd be lying if I said anything else." The whole studio got quiet. Not just regular quiet, but the kind that feels holy. Cross's words weren't mean, but they were clear. He was showing the difference between comfort that fades and truth that lasts forever. Many in the audience had spent money on Celeste's self-help books, her classes, her shows. They wanted peace. They wanted joy. They thought they had found it. But now, Something in their hearts was stirring. Cross was offering something different. It wasn't something you could buy, but it meant everything. Celeste, for the first time in a long time, felt unsure. She had built a whole life and business on the idea that you could sell hope, that you could find God in many ways. But Cross's message didn't cost anything. And it wasn't shiny or fancy. It was raw. It was real. She tried to fight back. She raised her voice just a little. "Senator, you talk about salvation like only your faith has it. But what about all the wisdom from other beliefs? What about the billions of people who find joy in other ways? Are they all wrong?" The crowd clapped again. They were cheering for Celeste now. She had given them the courage to believe in their own way again. She was their hero. She told them they could find the truth inside themselves. And Cross, with his strong words, felt like a threat to their freedom. But Cross didn't stop. He picked up a folded piece of paper from his knee. It was special to him, like a treasure. "Celeste, I'm not here to argue," he said. His voice was calm but full of meaning. "I'm just here to share what I know. When I was younger, I searched everywhere. I read books, looked into all kinds of ideas. But nothing filled the emptiness inside me. Then I met Jesus. Not just a religion. A person. He said, 'Come to me and I'll give you rest.' That changed everything. This isn't me thinking I'm better than anyone. It's me admitting I needed help. I was lost. And I found a lifeline. Now I want to throw that lifeline to others who are drowning." His words hit like a huge wave. They washed over the crowd. Some people clapped. Some cried. Others sat very still, trying to understand what they were feeling. Cross wasn't giving a speech. He was sharing his heart. That made all the difference. Celeste held onto her chair tightly. For the first time, she felt like her perfect image was cracking. She had spent years selling hope. But Cross was giving away something that couldn't be bought. The people in the audience weren't just looking at her anymore. They were looking at Cross. And they were listening. Really listening. She felt the spotlight shift away from her. She needed to take control again. So she asked one last hard question. "Senator," she said. Her voice was sharp now. "Your faith is clearly important to you. But let's be honest. You're a public figure. People listen to you. They vote because of what you say. They change their lives because of it. When you say Jesus is the only way, aren't you using your power to control others? Isn't that dangerous?" This question was like a punch. She was saying his faith might be used to control people. That was a big thing to say. The audience whispered. Some nodded. Others waited to hear what Cross would say. Cross looked at her with soft, steady eyes. "Celeste," he said, "power is a funny thing. You can use it to make yourself look big, or you can use it to help others. My faith isn't about control. It's about freedom. Freedom from fear. Freedom from guilt. Freedom from chasing things that don't last. I talk about Jesus because I've seen what he does. For people like Malik. Like Rosa. Like me." Then he lifted the folded paper in his hand. His voice got quieter, but stronger too. "This is a letter from Malik's mom. She sent it last week. She thanked me for giving her son hope. That's why I'm here, Celeste. Not to win a fight, but to point people to the one who can carry them through the storm." The audience clapped again. This time it wasn't polite. It was real. People cried. Some whispered little prayers. Celeste didn't move. Her face was pale. She realized something big. She wasn't just losing a talk. She was losing the people's hearts. Cross had said something she never could. His words touched something deep. Something forever. The cameras went to a break, but the feeling in the room stayed strong. Celeste looked at Cross. Her eyes were full of mixed feelings, like she had lost, but also like she was starting to understand. She knew this moment would change things, not just for her show, but maybe even for her own heart. Cross folded the letter and put it back in his pocket. His heart felt strong. The fight wasn't over, but he was ready. As the last part of the special show called Spirituality in the New Age began, the room at Harpo Studios felt very special, almost like a church. The air felt thick, like something big was about to happen. Everyone in the audience was quiet, still thinking about what Senator Elijah Cross had just said. His words were strong and touched many hearts. People looked back and forth between the senator and Celeste Jordan. What had started as just another talk show had now become something much deeper. It wasn't just about talking anymore. It was about truth, love, and what really matters in life. Celeste, who is usually very confident, looked unsure. She was at a big moment in her life. She could try to take control of the show again, or she could listen to the new feelings in her heart. The cameras were still filming, but the most important things weren't being said out loud. They were happening in the quiet, in people's hearts. Senator Cross sat quietly. His little Bible was in his pocket. He looked calm and kind. He didn't want to win or be right. He just wanted to share something true. Celeste took a deep breath. Her hands were holding each other tightly in her lap. "Senator Cross," she said, her voice softer than before. It didn't sound like the strong TV host voice people knew. "You've shared so much today. Your faith, your stories. They're very strong. But I need to ask something." She paused and looked into his eyes, searching for something. Maybe hope, maybe peace. "How can you be so sure your way, your Jesus, is the only way to truth?" she asked. "I've spent my whole life helping people find peace. I've taught about meditation, self-love, and old wisdom from around the world. Are you saying all of that is wrong?" Celeste wasn't trying to trap him or argue. She truly wanted to know. Her voice was shaky and real. The audience leaned forward. They felt something important was happening. Celeste, the woman they had always seen as strong and sure, was opening her heart. She was showing she had questions too. Senator Cross's eyes became even kinder. He didn't look upset or proud. He slowly reached into his pocket, touching a folded letter from a mother who had lost her son. He didn't take it out. He just needed to feel it, to remind himself why he was there. "Celeste," he said in a quiet, kind voice, like a gentle teacher talking to someone who is tired and confused. "I'm not here to tell you that you're bad or that what you've done doesn't matter. I'm not saying every path is wrong. I'm just saying that I found the one that's right. Not because I'm smarter or better, but because it found me." He looked at her with love, not judgment. "When I was hurting and lost, Jesus didn't wait for me to be perfect. He didn't make me earn his love. He came to me, right where I was, with all my brokenness. That's not just an idea to me. It saved my life." He sat forward a little, his voice slow and careful. "You've helped people feel peace, and that's good. But peace that goes away when a class ends or when people run out of money isn't enough. People need hope that never runs out. And I believe only Jesus gives that kind of hope." The room stayed quiet. No one moved. Some people nodded. Some had tears in their eyes. A few looked confused, trying to understand. Celeste sat still. Her hands trembled a little. Her mind was busy. She had spent many years building a big business of books, videos, and classes. She had told people they could find peace inside themselves. But Senator Cross's words made her wonder if she had been missing something important. Was she offering comfort but not real healing? She tried to speak again. "Senator, I've helped so many people. I've seen their lives change. Are you saying that doesn't matter because it's not your kind of faith?" Her voice had some defense in it, but there was also something deeper. Fear. What if I've been wrong? Senator Cross didn't get mad. He didn't try to prove her wrong. He just gave her a kind smile, the kind that makes you feel safe. "Celeste, what you've done matters. Being kind always matters. But the real question isn't just about helping people feel good. It's about helping them become whole again. Jesus didn't come to make us comfortable. He came to make us new." His words weren't loud, but they were powerful. Everyone felt them in their hearts. Some people clapped quietly. Others just sat there, still thinking. Celeste's face looked different now. Her eyes were shiny with tears. For the first time, she saw herself in a new way, not just as someone giving hope, but maybe as someone who had missed the biggest piece of it. She stood up, slowly, like her legs didn't feel steady. "Senator," she said, and her voice was cracking, "I've spent my life helping people. But if I've been pointing them to the wrong thing, What does that make me? The room gasped. Celeste, the woman who always seemed so sure, was showing that she didn't have all the answers. Senator Cross stood up too. Not to say, "I told you so," but to stand with her. He gently put his hand on her shoulder. "Celeste," he said, his voice soft and strong, "that makes you human, just like the rest of us. And the good news is, Jesus doesn't need you to be perfect. He takes your mistakes and your pain, and he turns them into something beautiful. That's what grace is." Celeste cried, not with pretty TV tears, but with deep, real sobs. The kind that come from a heart that's breaking open. The audience cried too. Some prayed. Some just sat quietly, holding space for what was happening. Then something amazing happened. Celeste knelt down on the stage. Not because she lost, but because she was ready to let go. "I don't know how to do this," she whispered. "I've always been in control." Senator Cross knelt beside her. He said gently, "That's exactly where he wants you. Out of answers. Ready to listen. That's where all of us begin." He looked at the audience. His eyes were shining. Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." That doesn't mean money poor. It means people who know they need help. That's where real freedom starts. The whole studio felt different now. It wasn't a TV show anymore. It felt holy. Senator Cross prayed, not for show, but with real love in his heart. "Jesus," he prayed quietly, "here is your daughter Celeste. She's tired of carrying everything by herself. Show her your love, your truth, your peace." Celeste sobbed. She didn't try to stop the tears, and no one in the room judged her. They felt the beauty of the moment. Some people whispered prayers. Some held hands. Some just cried too. The show ended without music or clapping. Just a quiet, peaceful stillness. Celeste stood up again. Her face looked softer. Her eyes were clearer. "I don't know what this means for my work," she said honestly. "But I know I can't go back to pretending I have all the answers." The audience clapped gently. Not like fans, but like people saying, "We understand. We're with you." In the months that followed, Celeste made a big decision. She stopped her spiritual classes. She started using her money and time to help people in quiet, real ways. She visited hospitals, helped families, and shared the new hope she had found. Senator Cross kept working in the government. His faith stayed strong, and his heart grew even kinder. The lesson. This story shows us something powerful. When truth is spoken with love, it can reach even the strongest hearts. Real faith isn't about money, being famous, or being the smartest. It's about love, kindness, and grace. Sometimes we think we have everything figured out, but real freedom starts when we admit we don't. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to that might not be true? Are you brave enough to let go and ask what really matters? That's where the journey to real peace begins. With one honest step. If you enjoyed this story, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I love hearing from you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on the next thrilling adventure or mysterious twist. Thanks so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Until then, stay curious and keep exploring.